Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary out here in my side yard on the driveway. I've got a little bit of a protected spot. It's kind of windy today, and I've got these trays. Now what I'm going to do with these trays is to test out this stuff right here. This is InstaFire. It says safe, versatile, and easy. Shows that you could start your fireplace, a campfire, barbecue, whatever else you want to do. And if you flip the other side over here, it says pour InstaFire into a pile. Light the rock part of InstaFire with a match or igniter. Place wood over flame, making certain not to smother the smoke. Okay, so this stuff is from Shark Tank, and that's where I first got introduced to it. And I actually Googled it when I saw it on Shark Tank. And, you know, honestly, I was a little disappointed in some of the responses, or I mean, some of the content that was out there on YouTube about this. So I was like, really? I really kind of want to know more than that. So what I'm going to do is I've got these 3 trays. I'm going to set up a few different kinds of fire here. I'm going to do one where I just take a big log as if I was a complete idiot. And look, I mean, I say that, but I have seen on a campsite people, you know, when I went camping with my family, the people right across the road literally took a bunch of logs, threw them on the fire, and held a match to it, trying to get it to light. And I'm like, that's not how it works, guys. But nonetheless, there they were trying it out. And so I wanna see if InstaFire would work even for like the biggest idiot who has no idea how to start a fire. I've got some smaller sticks and some kindling, and so I'll try like a medium size, like, you know, maybe you know, stuff about this size. And then of course we'll do one sort of control that's a proper fire. I also want to start one in snow. Now we're almost to the end of the season here, so this snow is really wet, which is sort of a worst case scenario. The other thing that a lot of guys talked about is that they could not get InstaFire to start with a ferro rod. So I really want to try that. All right, so let me hit pause on this. I'm going to set up a couple of these little fires. We're going to see how it goes getting this InstaFire going. I've got, for the ones that are not ferro rod, I've just got a lighter out here and I'll use that. And then for some of them, I'll go, and then for the last one, the big pile down there, that's what I'm going to actually use to try and start it up with a ferro rod. So let me pause and set up each of these containers the way that I want to try it, and then we'll go from there and see what happens. Okay guys, so let's start with maybe one of the more interesting ones. Whoops, I just knocked the tripod over, sorry about that. We're going to start with the snow, and what I'm going to do is dump my InstaFire in here. By the way, the knife I've got today is the CRKT linchpin with that new lock, so I want to give this guy a try. I'll post a first impressions video on this in you know, a day or so, or maybe it's already posted. In fact, I'm not sure what order this whole thing is going to happen in. But there we go. Got the package opened up there. Didn't mean to be off screen. Let's go ahead, dump this stuff in here. Okay, so there's my pile of InstaFire. What I'm going to do is grab a lighter, light this guy up, and see what kind of results we get. Okay, so it's actually pretty windy today, and guess what? My fire is getting blown out right away. Oh, there we go. So now we've got some fire happening. If I drop a couple of sticks on here, it says you're going to get 10 or 15 minutes of burn time. So I'm not going to make you sit here and watch all that time, but I'm going to drop some sticks in and see what kind of results we get. Clearly it will burn just fine on snow. I would hope that most of us know better than to start a fire in the snow. And you can see how that wind is wreaking havoc with this fire. Let's just see, this is a pretty negative scenario, so not certainly an easy situation. So as I say, let's just give this a minute and see what kind of results we get. I purposely used some larger kindling, kind of assuming that, you know, anyone using this stuff is probably not a serious bushcrafter. They're not going to be out here making feather sticks and stuff like that. And the claim is that you shouldn't have to. Okay, so this should get this wood burning just fine. And if it does that, then we'll know we've got a pretty successful test. Okay, so let me throw one more little stick in here just to give it some fuel so we can turn our attention elsewhere. The next challenge that I want this thing to undergo is the large log challenge. So I've got a couple of big logs over here. This is obviously not the way you start a fire, but I just want to try and see what happens. See if this stuff can get these larger pieces going. And I'm not going to, again, make you sit here and watch this whole thing. What I'll do is I'll light it up and then we can come back and check in on our situation in a couple of minutes. Now, while we're waiting for those two to sort of come together and see what happens, I'm just going to pause this. I want to see what happens if maybe I'm not careful enough with this. You know, if I've got one pack in a survival kit or something like that, and I end up messing something up. So I've got a little bit of snow over here. I'm just going to go grab some. I'm going to sprinkle some into the Insta fire, see if that completely ruins it or if we can still get a result. And then finally, we'll go over and try and see if we can get any success with a ferro rod. That'll be sort of the last test. So just bear with me for one more minute. I'm going to grab a little bit of snow, sprinkle it in here, and just see if that ruins it or if we can still get something to happen for us. All right, and that'll be on this middle spot here. Okay, as you can see, our other two fires are working away here, and we're going to see what happens. I don't know. This one is definitely going to be going. You can already see some ash forming there. I've got this handful of snow, and what I'm going to do is just kind of sprinkle it around here. And that's going to be a pretty bad scenario, one that I wouldn't anticipate, but I wouldn't be surprised if this will not work, okay? I'm kind of rooting for the Insta fire here, but that's going to be a pretty tough go. Okay, so we've got a little flame happening, and I suspect as soon as the snow starts to melt, it's going to put this out, but I don't know, maybe it's going to be okay. So far we can affirm for sure, even with some larger kindling on top of a snow pile, you're going to be able to get your fire going. All right, it looks like our snow one maybe has been blown out over here. I'm going to relight it. The other thing it claims is that it burns very, very hot. So like 1,000 degrees or something like that is what it says on the bag. And if that's accurate, then really it should be able to melt that water and almost, steam the water right away. So we've definitely got a little fire going over here. Let's take a look over here how we're doing. Well, we're seeing if the snow is going to put out our other fire. I'm going to get down kind of on my hands and knees and peek under those logs. So at this point, guys, neither one of those two big logs is burning, okay? They really aren't there yet. So we'll it's not out or anything like that. We still may get some success, but at this point, we may have defeated the Instafire with the large logs a little bit. I'm not sure. All right, we'll let that one go and come back and see how we make out. Over here, we've actually got a fire burning. The Instafire has melted a whole bunch of the snow all around it. And I've got to say, it's freezing out here. So the heat from this little fire is actually kind of making me a little more comfortable. So let's carry on with our testing. The last thing we wanted to do, one, I think we've demonstrated that over here where I messed it up, like it kind of goes all gunky there when it gets wet. So a little bit of moisture will ruin your day. So I don't know if you're going to start a fire in heavy rain with this stuff unless you take some extra measures to keep that rain from falling into your fire. Let me try one more time. see if we can get any success. All right, so that's sort of our last test on the Instafire with snow in it. And yeah, it's out again. So I think we're done with that one. This one over here, again, I don't think we're going to get a fire, guys. I think that one's kaput. So, you know, no one in their right mind would ever, I would hope, try to start a fire with this, although I have seen it happen. In fact, I was camping one time and I was at one of those campsites. I don't know if you're familiar with this concept, but they would give out these little, you know, essentially it was some paraffin wax with a bunch of wood chips melted into it, and they would give out these pucks of this and tell people, you know, this is how you can start your fire. And I literally saw a few guys throw a bunch of big logs, actually around this size, on top of this puck, light the puck, and see what happened. And of course, nothing did. All right. So the last thing that I really want to work on, I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way just for my own comfort and convenience. All right. Hold on, let me pause this for 1 second, guys. Okay, last but not least, I want to try the Ferro Rod Test. And a number of reports have told me, okay, a number of sources, that you cannot get a fire with a ferro rod. Maybe the coating's messing me up with that knife. Let's switch. All right. Okay, well, so far, the little sparker that comes with the ferro rod has worked the best. Wow. So guys, it's so close. I can actually, you can see how some of the granules here are starting to discolor. It wants to start, but it just, I don't know if it needs, if the sparks are not hot enough. Now, I had a suggestion that magnesium sprinkled in here would get it to go, and that very well may be the case. However, despite the fact that I have some magnesium in my survival kit, it's in my wife's car and she is gone. So we can't really test that one, but I'm going to keep trying here. I'm going to pause this so you don't have to watch the whole thing. And if I do get a fire to go, I'll come back and let you see the start of it. So just bear with me for a minute while I fight with this. Okay guys, so I have worked at this for about 5 minutes in addition to the time that you've already seen me going at it, and it will not happen. I cannot get a fire to start with the ferro rod. So I am unable to test the magnesium. Maybe I'll do a quick update on that at a later date. I'll just throw maybe in a story up or a quick update. But at this point, what we can demonstrate is that the Instafire actually works pretty well if you have a match or a lighter. Okay, so an actual flame, which is what it says on the box. Okay, so you know, perhaps there's some sort of legal issue there, or safety matter where, you know, if it starts too easily or has too low of an ignition temperature or something, then it's, you know, there's problems legally with it. We did find that even, you know, you don't really have to do a great job of breaking down your kindling. If you get, stuff that's, the size of your thumb, or, even a little bit larger, it's going to burn. You do get a good, 5 to 8 minutes. And the other thing we noticed is, let me just show you on this one. So this was the Instafire that was under the larger stuff, and this didn't, it kind of burned a layer on top of itself and then kind of petered out. And so I want to kind of show you, it kind of goes weird, it kind of forms this crust. So I'm going to dump this in here. There's a little more here, and I want to give the log burn one last try. I won't get you guys to stick around through the whole thing because it's just too boring. So I'll throw the logs back in. I had this one here. You can see how there's a bit of charring on it, but no actual burning. So I'll throw that guy back in. Throw this guy back in. And I guess that way will do. I kind of want the fattest part of the wood, exposed to the flame. And I'm going to start this up again and see if it has any different result. I don't expect a different result, but we'll give it a chance to find out. Now I'm also going to start it in a couple of places just to see if that makes a difference. I feel like an episode of Mythbusters here where, you keep doing testing until you get what you want. And we know we could start a fire, okay? We've already demonstrated that even if you have kindling that's fairly small, not totally awesome kindling, it will work. I'm going to let this burn for a couple of minutes and see if these guys will start and if we get any success. I'm going to pause this and just let this burn for a minute and see I'll turn it back on if we get a flame. Okay guys, so you can see the Instafire is still going strong, and I will say I'm pretty impressed with the performance of the Instafire. It's been really windy. It's kind of damp out today, and are we getting a little bit of flame happening here? And look at that, we are starting to get a fire. Now I would say, see a little bit of charring down there. I would say if you left this to burn a little bit longer, you probably would be able to get a fire. But this has been sitting here for, a long time. I paused it, I cleaned everything up, and I just left this one bin out, or I just left this one tin out. So, yes, you can get some fire happening. Is this the way you should start a fire? No. We did find out that if you wet it, as you would expect, okay, the moisture does really mess it up. So you can start a fire on top of snow as long as you're lighting dry material. You're going to be fine. Essentially what we discover is it isn't magic, okay? It does burn well. Is this better than, say, collecting, some good material and, starting your own fire with a ferro rod and things you've been able to collect in the forest? I wouldn't necessarily say it's better. It doesn't hurt, I wouldn't say, to throw this in a survival kit. Just know that you still got to follow the rules of making a fire. You can't just, throw a bunch of wet wood and dump an Instafire on it and magically you're gonna break all the rules and have a great fire. So you still need to think about, do I have dry material? Am I going to cut up my kindling to a small size? How damp is this material? All that kind of stuff that you'd normally be concerned about starting a fire. But it does light easily if you have a lighter or a match, and that's another big thing. You got to have a lighter or a match. This will not light. So if you're going to throw this in your survival kit and you don't keep matches in there, you just keep a ferro rod, probably not your best option. All right, you're going to need something else. Okay, so there you go, guys. That's my discussion of Instafire. Kind of interesting. If you have anything else you'd like me to try, I wouldn't mind doing that. I've got a few more bags left. As I say, I don't see this as a great option for a survival kit, so it's not like I need to save this. I'm not using it for anything special. So if you've got ideas that you want me to try out, feel free to comment down below. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.